Pacific West Mortgage Fund's podcast today is brought to you by the Granger Company, a full-service commercial real estate company specializing in the leasing, management, sale, and purchasing of commercial real estate in the Los Angeles County area. Our host today, Bill Fox with Breakwall Financial, correspondent lender for Pacific West Mortgage Fund, and myself, Mark Granger with Pacific West Mortgage Fund. Today, we're discussing some new legislation that's out affecting owners of real estate, their lenders, and specifically mortgage brokers. This is an important one for you guys if you're brokering loans. We're going to be talking about consumer loans, business purpose loans on 1 to 4 units specifically. And this regards categorization of loans for the purpose of disclosing to lenders what you're doing with the proceeds of the loan funds.
Right. So a lot of brokers, we found a lot of guys will do like residential consumer type loans, and then they happen to have a client who has a commercial property and they need a business purpose loan, but they're thinking that maybe they can have it might be really a consumer loan, but they're trying to coach them into making it look like a business purpose loan. And that's really problematic with this new legislation.
Well, Bill, I'm glad you brought that up because, of course, we see this all the time, right? I mean, we're dealing with this constantly as a lender, wherein we see something that looks awfully like a consumer loan, but is being represented as a business purpose loan in some fashion. And we're going to talk a little bit about how to document that in a moment. But so, Bill, what's the legislation we're talking about today is AB 3108. So that's really zeroing in on making sure that everybody's honest when it comes to categorizing these loans. Is that right?
Yeah, I hate to use the F word, but fraud comes up with this law.
Mm-hmm.
So if you, as a broker, help them, coach them into, showing that this is a business purpose loan when it's truly a consumer loan. For example, let's say that a guy has an auto body shop, and let's say that we're being presented with a business purpose loan for a new air conditioning system. Well, that would work out great if it's actually for the auto body shop. But the problem is if it's for his personal home, now it makes it a consumer loan. The borrower's in trouble, the broker's in trouble because it's misrepresentation, and that fraud ends up being,
it's a problem.
Felony.
It's a problem.
Yeah.
So, Bill, it's important to make this distinction. A lot of brokers that we talk to still don't quite understand this, I don't think. And in fairness to them, the law is sort of a little hard to understand.
Right.
But basically what we're talking about here is what determines whether a loan is a consumer loan or a business purpose loan is what the proceeds of the loan are being used for, right?
Right.
So in your example, the reason that goes from business purpose to consumer is because all of a sudden the proceeds of the loan are being used for the HVAC for his home,
Right.
his personal residence.
Mm-hmm.
If he put the HVAC on the auto body shop, no problem.
You're good.
We're good.
A flip side of that is, let's say that a guy has a personal residence and he also has a business. Well, we could loan on that personal residence. It looks like a consumer loan, but if he's buying an air conditioning system for his warehouse, then we could do the loan on his private residence because it is a business purpose loan.
Right, exactly. And, this is one of the great misunderstandings of this industry. By the way, this legislation, consumer versus business purpose, came out of the Dodd-Frank regulations in 2012 as a result of the 2008 crash. The federal government and the state of California fell into line and really said, hey, we've got to give some added protections here for the consumer. The consumer is someone that doesn't borrow money all the time. They're borrowing money for a personal household or family purpose, right? So they're not generally sophisticated borrowers.
Mm-hmm.
Business purpose, just the opposite. Commercial borrowers, they do this all the time. They're very familiar with the process. They're not assumed to need as much protection. But the problem is, Bill, as you know this, is that a lot of people can't qualify for a consumer loan. right? And that's why we see them going to the business purpose or trying to get into the
Right.
business purpose arena, right?
Yeah, because they can't do it from a bank, and so this is really their last opportunity. And again, the brokers a lot of times aren't real familiar with how that works, and they're trying to do the best for the client. We're trying to do the best success for the client and the broker, not get them in trouble.
Right.
That's why we're bringing this information
That's
out.
an excellent point.
So, Mark, what financial documents or information typically would be required for a business purpose type?
So that's a good question, Bill, and our friends in the legal community, of which we use a lot of lawyers, as you know, in this industry. So specifically, AB 3108 makes it a felony now to miscategorize these loans. Okay, so with that in mind, as the mortgage broker, make sure that you know who you're dealing with and what they're going to use the money for. So are they in business? Do they actually have a business? Do they have a business license? Are they incorporated? Do they have an LLC? Do they have bank accounts? Can we fund into a bank account? We need, probably strongly suggested by our legal people, that you get a handwritten letter
Right.
telling the lender, this is what I'm going to use the money for. Because remember, brokers, if you're out here representing somebody and it blows up, they're going to be looking for somebody to blame. And you want to make sure that you're not getting stuck in the middle between some guy, some borrower who says, hey, I thought I was doing a consumer loan. My broker told me, well, if you've got these things documenting the loan, pretty hard for him to say that.
Yeah, it's really tough.
One thing, Bill, just to note, I thought this was kind of funny. One of our attorneys is now suggesting that you film the loan signing.
Oh, is that right?
Right. And so you get on film, hey, Mr. Borrower, what is this business purpose loan being used for? And the guy's on tape saying, well, I'm going to buy trucks for my business, or I'm going to, I'm funding my my new loading door in the building, or whatever it is. And they're identifying and stating very clearly what that is. And I have to tell you, mortgage brokers, if you're doing this type of lending in California right now, you better make sure that you understand this rule, because it is not the type of property that's securing the loan that matters. It's what the money's being used for. But you're in a jam if you get into these types of deals. So, Bill, thanks very much for bringing this out.
Well, thank you for telling us about it, because the brokers, that's our job, is to help make everybody successful. We want your clients to be successful. We want you to be successful and not get in trouble.
And we don't want any problems in the lending process.
Right.
I think that's the issue. So today I want to make sure that you do visit PacificWestMortgageFund.com, PacificWestFund.com. Speak with myself, Mark Granger, or Bill Fox. Get enrolled in our mortgage broker programs, which are very good right now. We are really offering some great benefits to the mortgage brokerage community.
yes.
Stay tuned. We're going to be talking in our next few podcasts about environmental reports and consumer loan laws. There you go. So please join us for our next podcast. Thank you.